Some days ago, I told in one video 60-40-0 formation is becoming useless because in the Gen 12 we are getting one hero that is called Karol. This Karol can counter 60-40-0 formation. Okay. And I also told in another video there is one hero called Valkcanas on the Gen 13. That Valkcanas Karol both can counter 60-40-0 formation. So I told you 60-40-0 is useless. But something just happened. 60-40-0 is back. Hello my champ, how are you all? I am your shield. Today again we are back with Whiteout survival. In today's video we are discussing on something about formation. It is not a guide video. I will discuss how formation changing in every generation. I am mainly discussing on the 60-40-0, that is 60% infantry, 40% lancer and no marksman. Now it is a very popular formation for the garrison and it has one variant for the rally also, that is 50-50-0, 50% infantry, 50% lancer, no marksman. 50-50-0 and 50-0-50, that is different. 50-0-50 mainly work with the Mia. So 60-40-0 is very good for defense but not for every generation. It mainly start on the Gen 5. Gen 5 we are getting one hero that is called Nora. This Nora skill help very much for the 60-40-0 formation, particularly second skill and slightly the third skill. They help for the 60-40-0 formation. In the Gen 6 we are getting one hero called Rene. Rene also help in the 60-40-0 formation. The skills are mainly on the Lancer that boost the 60-40-0. Plus it can also help in the 70-30-0 formation. Both actually very good for the Rene in the Gen 6. But when we are getting the Gen 7, 60-40-0 become useless. Because in the Gen 7 we are getting one hero called Bradley. This Bradley can actually counter 60-40-0 formation. I'm reading the skill, Bradley second skill. Bradley use his expertise in suppressive artillery against the enemy vanguard, increasing damage dealt to Lancer by 30% and to infantry by 25% for all troop. That means our troop can deal more damage on the enemy Lancer and enemy infantry. Enemy Lancer get 30% more damage, enemy infantry get 25% more damage. Bradley can counter 60-40-0. Our alliance stop using 60-40-0 on the Gen 7. Even I know many people stop using 60-40-0 on the Gen 7 because Bradley can counter that. But when we are getting Gen 8, 60-40-0 coming back because there is one hero called Sonia. This Sonia actually boost again for the 60-40-0. You see something happening, 60-40-0 is strong, then it become useless, again it is coming back, something like this. So in the Gen 8 we normally use the 60-40-0, but when we get the Gen 9, 60-40-0 becomes slightly weak. I don't know why it happens, even though Fred is very good for the 60-40-0 formation. 60-40-0 don't work properly in the Gen 9. We can try 60-20-20 on the Gen 9. And in the Gen 10 we don't need the 60-40-0. Gen 10 we can use 50-20-30. 50-20-30 it is actually hybrid formation for both rally and garrison. And it work very good on the Gen 10. So we normally work with that. But again on the Gen 11 the 60-40-0 coming back. Gen 11 there is one hero called Lloyd. This Lloyd help you very much for the 60-40-0 formation. The skills are very good for the 60-40-0. Now Gen 12 come, which I told in my other video. In the Gen 12 you cannot use the 60-40-0 properly because there is one hero called Karol that can counter 60-40-0. This skill, Karol knows exactly where the enemy infantry are weakest against the forces like his own, increasing all troop damage dealt to Lancer by 30% and 25% to infantry. That means our troop can deal more damage to opponent Lancer 30%, opponent infantry 25%. Karol help you to counter 60-40-0 formation. So you cannot use 60-40-0 properly in the Gen 12. That is what I told in my other video. Also, in another video, I told about Valkcanas. This Valkcanas can also counter 60-40-0 formation on the Gen 13. Here is the Valkcanas. I am reading the skill. This skill of the Valkcanas. Valkcanas modified armor piercing arrows reduce enemy infantry and lancer defense by 60% for 3 turn and increasing our marksman attack by 60% for 1 turn. That is huge. It can really counter 60-40-0. Plus our marksman damage will go up by 60%. So Valkcanas is a big counter for the 60-40-0. Now, what happens in the Gen 14? There is one hero called Kara. Kara can slightly help for the 60-40-0. Okay, the skills are helping Lancer and Infantry slightly. Not only Kara, other hero on the Gen 14, they also help in the 60-40-0 formation. Okay, but some people can still use Valkcanas on the Gen 14 and they can still counter 60-40-0. Now I am making the video for this reason. Today we are getting Gen 15 and 60-40-0. I think it is back because there is one hero called Estrella. Estrella can help in the 60-40-0 formation. This skill boosting morale with a vibrant painting, reducing the damage taken by infantry by 25% and increasing the damage dealt by lancer by 25%. So it is helping our infantry to take less damage, 25% less damage to our infantry, and our lancer can deal 25% more damage. It is not fully defending infantry and lancer together, but it is defending the infantry and it is giving some damage to lancer. Our lancer can do some more damage. So it actually helped the 60-40-0 formation. You can again start using 60-40-0 from the Gen 15. You can see what is happening. 60-40-0 becoming useful in one generation. Again, it is becoming useless in another generation. I have one chart for you guys. This chart, it is like our alliance, what our alliance use in every generation. I can show you the formation. In this chart, you can see the garrison formation, mainly what our alliance use. So in the Gen 1, you can use 50-20-30 for the garrison. Gen 2, you can use 55-20-25. That is actually same like 50-20-30. They are same. Gen 3, you can do 40-20-40 for the garrison. Gen 4, you can do 45-20-35. Actually, they are actually same. They are pretty much same. But from the Gen 5, you can start using 60-40-0. And I told you Gen 5 is the best for using 60-40-0 formation. Also in the Gen 6, you can use the 60-40-0 formation. We use 70-30-0. 70-30-0, 60-40-0, they are pretty much similar. And I told you, in the Gen 7, Bradley can counter 60-40-0. So in the Gen 7, we mainly used 60-10-30. And I told you in the Gen 8, 60-40-0 coming back because of this. Gen 8, it is coming back. Now, Gen 9, 60-40-0 can still work, but we used 60-20-20. And Gen 10, I told you 50-20-30 work really good. Or you can try 60-40-0, but we mainly work with the 50-20-30. And Gen 11, 60-40-0 coming back. And just in the next Gen 12, 60-40-0 becoming useless because I told you Karol can counter 60-40-0. I don't have Gen 13, 14, 15. Gen 13 just came today in my server. I don't have any idea on that properly, but I read the skill of the Valkcanas and the Valkcanas skill description that is telling it can actually counter 60-40-0 formation. Here is the Valkcanas skill. If you check this skill, it is reducing enemy infantry and enemy lancer defense by 60% for 3 turn. So that is a big level counter for 60-40-0. I just showed you one chart. That chart is made by our alliance. We use that in many big battle. some real experiment. But I don't know about Gen 14 and Gen 15 actually. I have not tested them. Even I don't know about Gen 15. But I read the skill description of Gen 15, and by reading that, I think 6040 is back. It is not fully on the experiment, it is on my assumption. Because Gen 12 we are not properly using 6040. Even Gen 13, Gen 14 we cannot properly use the 6040. So there is a chance it can come back on the Gen 15. And I read the skill, and as much as I understand, 6040 has a comeback chance. I feel like developers are playing some trick with us. One generation it is becoming useless, another generation it is becoming useful. I feel like they are forcing us to spend more money to get every hero from every generation. They are designing the hero in such way, they are designing the skill in such way that one formation become useless in one generation, again next generation it come back. Like they are forcing us to get everything. I have already seen Bradley can counter 6040, even Karol can counter 6040, but I have no idea on the Gen 15. But I read the skill, and the skill description tells it helps the infantry and lancer for more sustainable battle. We hope 6040 can come back again. In today's video, I discussed how the formations are changing in every generation. If you have any question, you can ask in the comment. That is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.